Volunteers, and we're a U.S. military history and educational group. We try to show you the war periods between the French and Indian and modern day. Right now we're in the Ohio Territory, 1778, and Captain Ron Hafner will step us through.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Ohio Territory. And you are in a territory. I've heard people talking about something called Ohio State today. There is no Ohio State. You're getting ahead of yourselves. It is a territory. It encompasses the area that will eventually become Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan. What you see before you is a group from Fort Pitt. We have come into this territory for two reasons. One, because the Shawnee and Wyandot are attacking our villages in western Pennsylvania. We are here with the hopes of trying to deter them. Secondly, we are here in support of our allies, the Delaware. So we are marching eventually to a point where Sandy Creek runs into the Tuscarawas River, where we will build a fort. Once that fort is completed, it has been determined it will be named after the current president of the Continental Congress. His name is Henry Lawrence. Therefore, it will be called Fort Lawrence. The men you see before you, three of them are dressed in the blue coats faced red. That is the way we would like to see the Army dressed. However, it's hard to keep the whole Army dressed that way, as these uniforms wear out with daily use. So the other men you see are men, two of them are men who have just joined the unit and don't have uniforms yet. The man on the far end, uniform has been worn out and he has reverted to wearing his hunting shirt. This would happen a lot. Rarely would you see a unit with everybody with complete uniforms. The weapons these men are holding are smoothbore muskets. Three of them have 75 caliber muskets, the type that the British are using. Another three of them have the French Charleville muskets that we are receiving since the French joined the war last February. By these weapons being muskets, that means they are a smoothbore weapon. So when the ball comes out of the barrel of that weapon, it has little or no rotation on it. This means at 30 yards, they can be deadly accurate. At 50 yards, they can usually hit what they're aiming at. At 80 yards, they can hit it probably 3 out of 5 times. But since we practice lineal warfare, where you line up in a line as these men are, and fire at your enemy who's lined up in a line like that, if I'm firing at one man, and I hit 3 men down in the line, I don't care, I hit somebody. But because of the accuracy of these weapons, most of our battles then are fought usually 80 yards or closer. Anything beyond 80 yards, you're just wasting lead because you're not going to hit anything. Last winter, we spent time at Valley Forge. And we learned new drill as taught by Baron von Steuben. Prior to that time, each unit drilled under their own method of drill. That means when you're on the field, if I had 3 units under my command, each one of those units could have been trained differently. So when I give a command, I might get 3 different responses. You can imagine the chaos. Add to that, I didn't train any of those units, so they have no idea what I'm talking about. So Baron von Steuben said, everybody to train to the same drill manual, and the officers are now going to train their men. This is new. Up to this time, I've had little contact with my men. After all, I'm probably from the gentry, and they're from the lower class. So now I have had to train them this winter. So what we're going to show you is a little bit what we have learned over the winter. Shoulder, fire line. We'll advance by the left wheel. Right. Take care. Halt. Okay, Sergeant, break them into two ranks. You may ask, why do we fight in line formation like that? Doesn't that make them good targets? Well, remember, these muskets are single-shot weapons. So if I have a man standing on the battlefield, he fires downrange with one shot, that doesn't impress the enemy much at all. But if we line up like this, especially if I have enough men to make a second rank, I can get a lot of firepower in a small space. And if we all fire at one time, I've just now created a giant shotgun. That tends to get the enemy's attention. Priming load. There are 14 steps to loading this weapon. But since these men are well practiced, after being at Valley Forge, I don't have to give them individual instructions. And that's a good thing, because if we were on the battlefield, they couldn't hear me with the sounds of battle going on. So they already know what they're doing. When they come back to the shoulder, I know that they're loaded and ready to go. One of the things we will do is rarely will we ever shoot with the whole unit fire at one time. You always want to leave some weapons loaded, because if we fire everybody at once and the enemy's only 50 yards away, they're going to be on top of us before we reload. So you always leave some of your units loaded. Front rank, make ready. Take aim. Fire.
Prime and load.
Second rank. Make ready. Take aim. Fire.
Prime and load.
Now, just so you get the effect of what it looks like when you have both ranks firing, we'll do it again. Unit, make ready. Take aim. Fire. Fix. Bayonet. Now, if we feel we have the advantage on the field, and we want to take the field, we will do this. Shoulder, fire line. Unit will advance by the slow march. Charge, bayonet.
Huzzah! Huzzah!
Take care. Halt. Now, nobody really wants to go into a bayonet charge because you're going to go hand to hand with the enemy. That gets really messy. This is an intimidation factor. We will do this once we feel we have the advantage and we can drive the enemy off the field, because once we drive them off the field, we have won the battle. The other thing we're doing here is learning how to build defenses. The structure you see here is called a chevaux de frise. This was originally built as a defense against cavalry. A horse tries to jump over that, they don't make it, they impale themselves. What we will do is build these. We'll build several of these and chain them end to end across the field. Remember I said we fight linear warfare. If you have a front of 200 men marching towards you, they march up to a row of chevaux de frise. Now they have to determine what they're going to do. Are they going to go over it or try to break their way through it? While they stop to do that, they make good targets for my men because we put these within musket range. The other option they have is to break their ranks and go around the chevaux de frise. If they do that, they've done exactly what I want them to do, because I've taken a 200-man front and broken it into smaller pieces. And once I've done that, I can deal with the smaller pieces rather than dealing with 200 men at one time. They will then cross an open field under fire. They will come to our trench, which right now is filled with a lovely mixture of stagnant water. They will have to go down into the trench because if they try to jump the trench, they will impale themselves on the spikes sticking out of the dirt. That gives us an advantage because they are now lower than my men are. They have to try to climb up the dirt while my men stand there with fixed bayonets. That amount of dirt will stop a musket ball, and the angle of the dirt will protect my men from bouncing cannon shot. So they're well protected in that structure, and it's hard for an enemy to take that structure. So, as you travel through the Ohio Territory today, I hope for whatever reason you're here, you figure out what you're doing and you have success. But I also hope as you travel along, you feel like you're safe and secure because my men have learned their trade well. And with that, we give you your lead.
Ready, set, launch.
Unfixed. From 1861 to 1865, and I'm going to let this gentleman right here tell you exactly what's going on.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The two field guns that you see in front of you now represent the high water mark of muzzle loading artillery. Muzzle loading means we load them from the front or the muzzle. Essentially, the system remained unchanged from feudal times all the way to the Civil War, but these guns represent the high water mark. The first cannon, the one you see closest to you, is a 10-pound Parrott rifle. It's called a 10-pounder because it fires a 10-pound shot. It's called a rifle because it has grooves in the barrel, spiral grooves, rifling, that make the shell spin for greater range, greater accuracy. A guy named Parrott invented it. The way, though, you can tell those guns, they have that cast iron ring shrunk onto the breech to give it more strength. The second gun is a 3-inch Phoenix Ordnance rifle. It was a wrought iron gun, considered the best muzzle-loading artillery ever made, and in fact our Army continued to use that cannon all the way up to 1887. When all the rest of the world was using breech loaders, we were still using that. This limber is what they pull them around with. They hitch the horses to that. Ideally, you would use a 6-horse team. By the end of the war, the Confederates were using 4-horse teams. There would also be a supply train following each artillery battery with extra ammo and those kinds of things. But this was the basic unit. The box on the back has all of our ammunition, powder, and tools to man the gun. The two guns represent a section. The Confederate battery usually had 4 guns. The Federal battery had 6 usually. every 2 guns being a section, they can be commanded in smaller and smaller groups. It takes ideally a 7-man crew to run one of these guns. As you can see, the crew is coming out now. The gunner is the skilled man who commands everything. He knows what's going on. He can call the ranges, call for the shot size, the fuse length. He's an expert. The man on the limber box is a corporal. That is a skilled position as well. That corporal needs to know how much powder it takes to get the shell down as far as it needs to go, how long to cut the fuse, what kind of projectile to use. The gunner commands it, the limber box person sets it up.
1 step forward, march. 1 step forward, march.
By the way, there are Yankees in the woods right now hoping to take a pot shot at us like they did historically. So when we get done with this demonstration, don't be surprised if suddenly they spring one on us and our dismounted cavalry hiding in the woods will have to bail us out. They are now getting ready to take the implements off of the cannon carriage. The implements that we need to serve the gun. The first one I'm going to have him show you is the worm. He's going to stick that up there so you can see it. That is a corkscrew-shaped thing that we reach down into the bottom of the barrel with to remove any cartridge fragments that might still be there. Anytime you fire a cartridge, it leaves the bottom of the cartridge in the bottom of the barrel. After a few firings, not only does it become a safety problem, but you can't get the shell all the way in. So that has to come out. The second thing I want to show you is the sponge. That fuzzy end, we get it all wet. We stick it down the barrel to cool it, to put the fire out, and that sponge will also bring out any more shards of the cartridge. The other end has got a hard thing on it, that knob. That's what we use to ram the shell in. The shell, more often than not, we use exploding shell, but we can also use solid shot. The exploding shell is hollow, filled with powder, with a fuse that screws into the front end. And that fuse can be set in various different ways by the man on the box. Now, the reason why I already mentioned about the wet sponge, you notice that number 3 there has his thumb over the vent. The vent is the hole that goes from the top down into the bottom of the barrel so that we can get the fire down in there to shoot that projectile off. He's got his thumb over it right now to keep any rush of air from going up through that hole when they shove the sponge or the rammer in. The signal to bring the cartridge up is to have the rammer head on the muzzle. The guy on the box is just now giving him the shell. He's going to take it up and show it to the gunner. The gunner is going to make sure that it's all set up right. Then he takes it on up to the front where we're going to load it in. Now what we fire it off with is what they call a friction primer. Primer is a little brass tube full of fulminated mercury with a wire going through the top. Pull the wire out, it makes a spark, shoots it off. That goes in the vent. Now, they rammed the shell in. Now the guy is going to, they're going to aim the gun. Now, we could hit pretty much anything we could see. Maximum range is about 5,000 yards. Ideal range about 2,500 yards. Now, at that command, the number 3 person is going to shove a sharp wire down the vent hole. We call it a vent prick. That cuts a hole into the cartridge so that the fire can get into it when we fire it off. Now you see the lanyard is hooked up. Get ready, it's going to be loud. I like that part. That's, uh-oh. Looks like we got...
Where's that pistol? A cowboy pistol. Me? No, there you go. Oh, the pistol was loud that time. And it was a double barrel. A double barrel, oh, how? Oh. Oh, I love it. I can. Which one? I don't know where they're hiding anymore. Oh, that guy's down there. Now you're mine. Shoot him with the cannon. What?
Civilized warfare. If you take a prisoner, if they surrender, you don't kill them, but not everybody follows their rules.
That hurts. My liver. My eye.
Looks like. Yeah, there's a hard case back there still. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a great audience.
Spin around. Spin around.
Weapons, the style, the way we fight warfare has changed dramatically again. It's much more fast-paced, much more intense. I'll warn you right now, it gets loud. Oh, by the way, we're in northern France, July 1944. things have changed in 25 years since the last battle, which was World War II that we had. Once again, the tactics, the uniforms, the lack thereof, and the weapons that are used are completely different. And who's your friend during the day can be your foe at night, and not every soldier or combatant wears a defined uniform of a country. So it completely changes the complexity of warfare, and we'll see how that plays out here.
You find anything?
So you tell us where GIs are. You tell us where GIs. Tell us.
Mom! I found Mom!
So you tell us where GIs are.
No.
You will tell us.
No.
You will tell.
No.
Where?
No.
Where GIs?
I don't know.
We will tell. We will get answers.
You won't.
Where GI?
No.
Where?
I don't know.
Where GI? You show us.
No.
Where GI is at?
No.
Get up. Get up. Get up. Where GI?
No.
Where GI?
I don't know.
Where GI?
I don't know.
Where?
I don't
Where
know.
GI? Where GI at?
I don't know.
You will talk.
I won't.
Where GI?
No.
Where?
No.
Where GI? Where? You show.
No.
Where GI? Where?
No.
We will get you talking.
No.
We will take you to talk.
No.
You'll find anything else?
Joy! 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 Volunteer, move up! Bravo, online, move up.
Checking for information. You got me in some water. All right, give me a perimeter.
You okay, man?
Yeah.
You good?
Go check.
You know where you're at? No? Where was Woodstock, man? Come on.
Yeah.
You up? Yeah? You good?
Hey guys, get online. We gotta run. Ready? Aim! Fire! Ready? Aim! Fire! Good job, guys. Give me a 360 perimeter. Roll it up. 360. We'll count him to 6. Ready, man, come on up. Bravo 20, this is 3-6 whiskey. Yes, Bravo 20. Looks like we have about 6 BC dead. Yeah, we are at 2, 9, 7, 3, 4, 4. I say again, 2, 9, 7, 3, 4, 4. No, we're not in the immediate extract at this time. Roger, whiskey out. Thanks for the help. You're good to go. Make sure you run them over on the way out. All right.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's our show for today.